saw a video that kind of probably a little bit more clarity and a more, best way to put it, a little bit more of a considerate way of doing and looking at pacts, written agreements towards a divine or any kind of astral entity, regardless of its alignment or where it's yielding from. Oh, every time. Nope, I don't want to be like too rosy, but there. Get this out of my life because I like it being more in the dark. Okie doke. So, as people probably know, usually when they hear a pact, they think, "Oh, you sold your soul to the devil. You sold your soul." That's just the stereotype. That's like the most commonly thought, like the intention of it is. To keep it simple, pretty much essentially a pact, spiritual agreement, contract with an astral entity, be it Satanas, a deity, a spirit, an elemental. It's kind of the same thing as a business agreement, a negotiation, a pretty much working with the other party and negotiating the terms. It's not all one side writes all the stuff out and then says, "I'll do this for you, you did this for me." It's not really, in my opinion, really fair or just to make a pact all by yourself and not really include the spiritual entity that you're trying to negotiate with. That's just me. I've done a total of 3 packs myself. First one was technically with Hecante. Second one was with Saket, but I ended up having both of their payback and having their side of the pact that I made for them both actually yield together at once. And it's actually a tattoo on my lower back. And the other one was actually for Dantalion. And essentially, the packs themselves, you don't have to make it over complicated. Keep it simple. Just make it simple. Don't go over the top, but still, if you're going to be making a pact with a certain entity, say like a left-handed divine, for an example, I'm going to just be actually writing out as an example and also kind of showing like at least the format I do. And it's going to be with Satanas. And pretty much this has already been agreed upon anyway, even though it doesn't have a written form. It's already agreed upon, and it's already in the works. And it's already being in motion, but still. Essentially, and this is also, instead of me going towards him, it was kind of the reverse. And if that happens, which is an indication that this divine wants your assistance with something. If they want your assistance, don't turn them away. Listen, accept it, and then come up with whatever you deem fit as a reward, like what you would like them to give to you, if that makes sense. But for an example, essentially, I'm just gonna write it real quick. And don't mind the stuff in the background. Don't mind the dog. So for this example, I have essentially Satanas. I'm going to be acting on his behalf on a social media platform with the intent of sharing my knowledge of the occult and to also ensure the safety of those on the platform from not experiencing unnecessary harm. Okay, so if that was, like, say, if I was going towards a divine or an entity saying, I would like this, but now instead of actually just writing in, like, I want to experience a more, whatever you're deeming fit, once you have your desired gain established, don't go straight away saying, I want this and I'll give you this. Instead, go at it this way. You have your intent, you're having what you want, like stated. Now, here's the kicker. Instead of writing out what you want to give them, go at it this way. This is my desired outcome or gain. What would you like to have in return? And be open about it. And in this situation, you have to be able to get into state. And from there, make it known to whichever entity that you're negotiating with. Just let them know that they are able to take control of the hand with a pen and they can write out some desired acts of service for them. And you're going to be doing automatic writing. Pretty much you're just going to let your hand just go. And you just allow it to flow. Don't stop it. And in comparison of like how it was, like I wrote it, you can kind of tell that it's kind of different. Like the lettering is different. One's a lot more bolder. One's a lot more softer. But essentially, what I was only asking of him for doing this on his behalf, as he asked me, all that I wanted is to ensure having Satanas and all the left-handed divines as allies always. Because to me, it's way more beneficial, in my opinion, to have this alliance with really remarkable entities that can really lead by example and can really better somebody. I'd rather have that than any mundane 3D human desire. Because if you have guidance and actually guru figures, because yes, I'm calling Satanas and all the divines there are guru figures, because in my viewpoint they are. Having those figures to guide you always gives you a sense of like, okay, I have support. I'd rather have the the security of knowing no matter where I go, I always have somebody there to advise me on the way. I mean, if I wanted to, I could have been just putting something every mundane human desire and be able to be, I don't know. Having Satanas as an ally and all the other Lieutenant Divines from all of them, that's more beneficial to me. And that was pretty much what the agreement is. But say that it wasn't actually this specific act, it was something else. Like if I was wanting X and I pretty much gave the okay to whichever deity, in this case Satanas, to start listing acceptable how do I put this? Then ask Satanas to take control of the hand with a pen, and then just write out acceptable paybacks in return or givebacks to him for him helping me get X. And X is a variable. Don't think me getting X's and O's. Oh, why did that song come in? But still, just allow. And I'm saying in mind's eye, giving him the okay to just take control, and then just write out what he deems fit as an example of a return to him. And in this case, I'm going to show just right there. As you can tell, it's kind of the same, like it has the same, like it was written the same like coloring. Well, not really coloring. Like it's a lot more lighter than this one because this is my handwriting. While the one below it's much lighter and it's a lot more gentle. So having three choices, I would then look at them and then decide which one of these three, which one will I be able to know for a fact I'll be able to uphold. Like I have confidence that I can do whichever one of these three. And when I make my choice of which one, in this case I'm going to go with I'm just going to put a simple mark next to the one that I would be more than confident that I'd be able to uphold. And in this example, it's help others grow, like teach others and educate others and ensure that they get expansion. So pretty much from there, seeing that if we have what in this case is kind of backwards, but still. Satanas has his payback, and I have mine. Now that that's pretty much settled, there's many ways that you can actually sign this, like actually make it official, because once you make it official, technically this becomes like similar to like a legal document in a way. Now that being said, since this is a legal document, technically, would you burn your court papers? No, you wouldn't. Would you desecrate them? No, you wouldn't. Would you shoot your sexual fluids on them? In my opinion, no. Because in my view, if you shoot your man juice onto this, thinking that's going to charge it, you're kind of slapping that entity in the face and kind of degrading them. And don't do that. Don't degrade these divine entities like that, because that's very disgusting. If you're going to be doing that, Do it on something that does not have them attached to it. Because if you're going to be going towards a divine like that, shooting your, sexual fluids onto them or anything of them like that, that's kind of rude and kind of disgusting. Yes. And I've been practicing Go for a long time, this spell. And I just go at it just like, why am I going to, be vulgar like that? Because if I'm going to be acting vulgar like that, I expect to get hit upside the head. Mm-hmm. So, there are some that say that you can actually prick yourself, but I'm somebody that I see that as self harm in my view. So instead, what I do, of course, is going to be a lot more nicely formatted than that. Pretty much just make it just like if it's a mundane, everyday document design. But now, this being said, you sign first. But here's the thing. If you're not comfortable with what's written there, say so. Speak what's on your mind. Speak what you feel. Express yourself 100%. Say what you feel is fair, what's not fair, what you feel that needs to be more explained. Communicate, get into state, and connect to that divine. Because this is a negotiation and it's a contract. The point of a negotiation is to work with the party to come to an agreement so both can gain. That's the intention of a pact. You both make an agreement to invest in one another and to ensure that you both grow from it and not go behind each other's backs. That's the point of a pact. And the thing is, as soon, like here, to demonstrate, say as soon as you sign it, it's now attached to you. It's attached to you, meaning that this you signed, you're now obligated to do it. And you have to uphold it. You have to. And say, as soon as you have your signature, just again, allow Synonymous to actually use the hand that you write with to sign it, and just allow it to go. So now you see, now that we both signed it, it's been agreed upon, and now this is technically now a official agreement that's written. Now, with that being said, this you need to keep safe. And while the divine that is working alongside you for this desire, yes. Well, Isabel, if you have questions, always ask. Do not be afraid to ask questions. If you have a question, if you don't understand something, just say so. Because I'd rather you have the knowledge to go towards these divine entities in a way that's going to leave a really good impression on them. Because if you go at them with a really good impression, they'll remember it, and they'll be much easier to work with, and they'll be a lot more closer to you, if that makes sense. So yes, this can be applied to any kind of entity that you're working with, any divine, any spirit. It probably may not be, I would not suggest doing this with angelic, because the way that angelics work, they are like lawful strict, meaning that it's by the book and how they're being ordered to do it by somebody else. If it's not by their book, they really don't care. They just eradicate it. But in this way, you're actually taking the effort to go towards whichever entity, and you're actually making them become a part of the negotiation, which is not really, I haven't really seen or heard people teach it like this. When you're making an agreement in a business agreement and the terms and conditions, with another party, you should definitely have them be involved in it. Negotiate, figure what can work, what won't we're onto, what shouldn't be there, and before you sign. Well, the good thing is, the number one really good thing is that the best thing to do in that situation is approach them. Approach those entities sincerely and let them know that you made a mistake and that you want to clear the air and you want to amend it and actually take in the steps that are best to actually remedy the situation. As when you take forth the effort to actually go towards these entities, even if you make a mistake, it's admirable because you're proving to them that you're humble enough to admit, I made a mistake. I didn't know about this. I was ignorant about it, but now I want to take the steps to make it right and to prove that I've grown from my mistake. You put it in the same situation if somebody on the 3D world did something towards you and it was kind of offensive and they did not like that, but you wanted to make amends to them. Just go towards them as you would with any other person and just let them know that I made a mistake. I am sincerely apologizing for my choices, the actions I took, and I want to know what I'm able to do to remedy the situation and prove that I'm not what I came off to be. I'm not rude, I'm not inconsiderate, I'm not ignorant, and I'm not somebody who doesn't live by just being out of line, if that makes sense. It's the same thing, though, with these entities, though, if you go towards one of them like that, the whole spiritual side takes note of it. And they'll see it as, wow, okay, this individual actually is taking on and making a choice to accept something that a lot of people don't want to accept, meaning that they made a mistake. They're humble enough to understand, I made a mistake and I want to fix this. I want to repair the damage that was done. Or even if you don't plan on investing with whichever the entities are, just making the amends and showing that you want to make things right and pretty much leave it at that and make it like as a balanced and kind of like having a good like what's that word, a good rapport afterwards and not make it be on like shaky ground. That goes a long way. And another thing too, whenever your pact is still in effect and you and the other divine are working on upholding it, if there's ever an incident where like something happens, like a tragedy happens, and there's some way that you're not able to uphold your end of the pact, the number one thing you should do, if you're not able to uphold it because of an injury or anything of the sorts, number one, you better believe you better get into contact with whichever this entity is, whomever it is, and let them know what the situation is. Well, the thing is, now, Isabel, now that you've understood it, now you've learned. And that is, and you want to also make amends to it. That is phenomenal. That is really admirable. Because a lot of people would just go with the stereotype thinking, demons? Oh, they're evil. No, 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 no. They wouldn't even take a moment to step back and think, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I'm just going off of stereotype. I don't think this is right. I'm going to go and apologize and actually say that I was wrong and I want to actually take the steps to remedy it. That takes a lot. And just like how Claudia or Amethyst, who's in the chat, I believe, hopefully, her husband leads by example for all the Christians, because her husband is a devoted Christian and she's on the left-handed path, which, yes, they do conflict, but nonetheless, he still sticks with his wife, which is phenomenal. And he's an example that all the other Christians should follow. Because if he can do it, all of them can do it. Because if he can accept his wife no matter what, anybody can. Especially when it comes to belief system, that's not an obstacle to say that, well, our faiths are different, so I can't be with you. No, 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 no. He actually still sticks with her and supports her. That's how it should be. But as soon as you're in a situation where this pact cannot be upheld, of course, inform the entity of the situation and say it how it is. Don't be afraid. Because when you inform the entity about what's going on, you're being considerate. And when you're being considerate, you're keeping them in the know. More than likely not, they're going to be, I understand, get well, or make sure that you're taken care of first and out of a situation so that way you can uphold the pact. Good. Good. Because that's the intention. When you're going, it's true. It's true. 100%. Definitely all about respect and understanding that, at least in my opinion, if I was to make a commitment, well, kind of in a way I did back in 2015, but still, if I make the choice to stick, I'm sticking. I'm not going nowhere. It don't matter if I'm going to pull all my hair out, if I want to, just face palm myself to getting a concussion or just wishing that I never did this, I'm still sticking. Because it's not only because I made a promise towards my other half, and I'm not sticking just because I want to do it for him, but I want to do it for myself, to be like, you made the choice to stick, so show yourself that you have the patience and understanding that unionship is not meant to be easy. It's meant to be taken as a responsibility, an obligation, and something that you made the choice to stick with. And if you have regrets about it, then you shouldn't have done it in the first place, so gotta work with it. And a lot of people don't really understand how it is to honor that commitment. Because honoring commitment, it does require understanding the boundaries and where things are like a no-no. And those have to be expressed. Because if they're not expressed, it's a big, giant gray area. And even then, too, if you make the choice to commit to someone, that should be simple. Meaning you should be able to go to each other with anything that exists in the world. Like, it can be the worst thing imaginable, and then you go to your other half or your partner, husband or spouse figure, wife, you go towards them and say, this is what I'm dealing with, and I need help with it. And 100% of the time, they should be there, right there, ready for you, no matter what. Even if they're not in a good mood, they should be there for you, no matter what. Even if it's something that can be very distraughting, they made the choice to be alongside you through everything. Good, bad, dreadful, don't matter. And it's one of the biggest, how do I put this? It's the biggest act of service that you can do for another individual, taking them on as pretty much an extension of you, and you're seeing them as yourself in a way. So you're agreeing that not only do I have to take care of myself, but now this other person is another priority that I'm like equal with. I have to caretake to them as much as I take care of myself. And that's really the idea of unionship and marriage. It's difficult, but it's an accomplishment. being alongside someone and you both guiding one another and supporting each other through life. That is an accomplishment. It is. Because a lot of people nowadays, like how the world is changing and the viewpoints are changing, nonetheless, if you're able to stick with somebody thick and thin and guide them through life, and if there's children involved, raising the children and being the example for them to look up to and bring the change into this world, 30 years. Wow. I mean, I haven't been with mine that long, but I've been with 11. I'm at 11. But still, I mean, it's still, yeah. And believe it or not, I'm only 28. But I mean, I was raised by my grandparents, and they just instilled what they taught me. But anyway, I don't want to get off on a sidetrack, and I have another obligation in about 7 minutes, so I'm gonna wrap this up with the finishing touches with this. So if you have something happen and you're not able to fulfill the obligation, most definitely inform. Excuse me. Most definitely inform whichever divine entity that you made this agreement with, and you can just simply get in the state, and then just speak in your mind's eye or speak out loud towards them and address them. Tell them the situation at hand and how it is. Don't be sneaky because they already know, especially Satanas. He already knows. But if you go towards him 100% transparent, he will understand. And more than anything, he'll prioritize that you get yourself established again and then go towards fulfilling this obligation. Now, once the obligation is finished on both ends, this is where it can vary. Some would say to burn it, but as for me, what I personally like to do, I have all the only 3 pacts that I've ever written. I have them not out of the notebook, but like a sheet of paper in a folder in a very safe spot. Very safe. Only I know where it's at. But the reason why I keep them is to be able to look back and see how much different I approach making these packs, and as well kind of get an understanding of, okay, and it's just like a really nice keepsake to be looking back and thinking, wow, I remember when I was at this stage. I remember when I was at this stage. I remember when I made this pact. I remember how much I gained from this pact. Because to me, if you're burning something like that, in my opinion, you're kind of destroying it and releasing it. And I'm somebody that kind of likes to preserve the past and the history, so that way it can be taken, analyzed, and then possibly given to somebody else to see an example and have them be able to look at it and then take what they need, and then they can do it how they deem fit. But must also definitely make sure, again, you negotiate with your entity or divine or left-handed divine. Always negotiate, have them be included. Ask them. If you're not able to do automatic writing, actually ask them and let them know, what is it that you would like? Give me some ideas you would like. And after you make a list of it, just simply look at it and then choose the one that you're most comfortable knowing that you can uphold. Because if you go at it that way, you're actually making it a negotiation and an agreement. I would like this. What would you like? Give me some ideas of what you would find acceptable for helping me obtain this. Then pretty much a left-handed divine, I call them that because in my opinion they're actually the demons and the infernal entities, like the demons, daemons. But for me personally, whenever I hear demon or daemon, the instant thing I first think of is it having a negative and a negative thing attached to it. And I'm somebody that has immense respect for these entities, that I don't like having any potential negativity brought to them. That's just me. And that's just how I see it. Because when I'm calling one of them a demon, to me, it just kind of hints at that has possible negative attached to it, and I don't like having negativity anywhere near them. But that's just me. Yeah, because when you're having this mindset of actually wanting to prioritize honoring them and giving them proper and respectful recognition, sometimes you get a little bit hesitant calling them something that is like commonly known, because you're kind of you don't want to have anything bring any kind of negative or downing energy come towards them. I mean, I also work alongside with Lilith. When it comes with Lilith, I mean, I am like, I get very touchy in the terms of like if somebody calls her a vulgarity, I get pretty feisty. I'm like, really? You're gonna call her that? Oh, really? You're just jealous. Besides, why are you calling her that? She's not a goddess of that. She's not intended to be all about, interaction like that. If you catch my drift, that's not really her intention. And if you're seeing her as an object, you got to do a lot of self-reflection, hon, because she's far more than that. Because they are. They're ancient and they have immensely more wisdom, intelligence, and are far more able to provide better guidance than us going to another person. Usually, because most of the time, people can misconstrue and pretty much alter what the main focus is, while the divinities can just turn around. What? Mm-hmm. And that's actually how you should be. If you're just starting off and trying to venture to see where you go, my best advice: be open to everything. Allow everything to come towards you. Mm-hmm. And that's. I was trying to read that, and things like, oh, time to take it off screen. That was kind of rude. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because even then. Mm-hmm. It's essentially like as well. I just had an eye, lost it. Dang, my Aquarius brain. And good, because the thing is, when it comes to loving another person truthfully, like unconditionally, you'll be able to accept them no matter what, and also adapt to them, so that way not only you're not pushing all of them away, you're bringing all of them towards you completely, and you're trying to allow it all to come together. Because believe it or not, religious belief and faith is one of the things that can really break people apart. But in reality, it's just a frame of mind. And if you can understand that everybody has a different thought process and philosophy, you could actually see that it has also the most potential to be the most enlightening, having two different beliefs come together and actually share and actually grow in two different ways, but then still come together to share the experience and pretty much merge together. That's actually not really heard of, really, to be honest. But most definitely, bottom line, pacts are like a business agreement, kind of like a marriage. Mm-hmm. Just always take your time. Just know what your intention is and what your focus is on. If your focus is on ensuring that you can maintain the bond between you and your girlfriend, if you must go through and understand a part of her life which can be intimidating to you, it doesn't matter how long it takes and what you have to do, you'll still go through it. You'll still go through it, knowing and seeing what your outcome is, which is your life partner. If that's your focus, it doesn't matter what pathway you have to go down. You're paying attention to your, sheesh, I'm having hiccups. You're keeping your end result focused on. And if you keep that in mind, you'll do what you have to do to get there. And I mean, that's what I've done alongside with mine. I mean, the amount of shenanigans, and that's the best way I can put it. The amount of shenanigans I've gone through for mine, I mean, oh, but still, it's worth it, and you just have to keep your eyes on where you need to go. But other than that, I have another obligation I have to get to. So thank you for joining me for this, and I hope you really learned something and a new way of actually doing these packs. And I really hope this actually helps. Good. That is exactly why I'm on YouTube. 100%. And that's why I'm on YouTube. I want to take people from their state of not being their best and not thinking that they can do anything about their situation. I want to make them go from this to, okay, I can do this. I got this. Here, hold my beer. I got this. That's really why I'm on YouTube. Because what I'm doing, I'm keeping my mentor spirit alive. Because I'm pretty much regurgitating all that he taught me. And if I'm helping people expand from what he taught me, I'm just spreading his spirit around. And funny enough, this is actually the month he passed. So, heck, I'm being fulfilled. You're being fulfilled. We're all being fulfilled. And that's exactly my intention since day one. That would be 2 years ago. But still, I will see you guys later. And thank you for joining me for this segment.